on to approval of minutes from September 10th, 2018, public session.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion on these.
Do you need a printed copy of the updates? I have that.
If I could just get an updated one.
This one isn't the updated one, but I read
No,
the
that's
updated
the
one.
Okay.
You want this?
No, I read it online.
Okay. Do you need what's in your packet is not the updated. There you go.
I'll motion to accept.
Second. It's not good.
I thought we already did.
Oh,
Did we
she
do
has.
that already?
She has
We did a
one
motion.
on her. Yeah.
Motion by you and second by Ms. McElhenney.
All right. All right.
Okey then.
I like to move things along.
Okay. Anything else, no? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, non-public session 1 from September 10th.
I move to
So
approve.
moved by Mrs. Cardinal,
Second.
second by Mr. Frida. Discussion?
Do we need to note the motion in the non-public and reaffirm it in public? Or did we do it?
Which motion?
We actually made the motions in non-public.
Right. So I think the motion was in non-public. And it's noted in the public.
The motions for,
For the student issue.
Right, and I did make a note too that this is probably more detailed than we want on the student issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to table these and?
I think while the motions are in the public, we could swap.
And
It could be amended.
just a point of information, the file marked public 1 is non-public 1 is actually non-public 3.
Non-public 3,
Yeah.
and the one marked non-public 3 is non-public 1.
Oh, that's where it is, okay.
They switched.
Were the public minutes already repaired to that effect?
The public minutes do show coming out of non-public session and the motions for,
But I mean the ordering of the non-public sessions, because the.
yes.
Okay.
The public minutes reflected the headings for the non-publics are.
So do you want to redact everything in here? Because this is too detailed. Or do we want to table these and come back out of non-public? And
Either way.
a motion to table?
motion by Mrs. Moran to table,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Frida. All those in favor?
Aye.
September 10th, 2018, non-public session 2.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Ms. McElhenney. Sorry, I saw her hand.
That's okay.
Discussion on these. Hearing none, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And minutes from September 10th, non-public session 3.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. McElhenney,
Second.
second by Mrs. Cardinal. Discussion on these. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those,
Wait,
oops.
sorry, we usually, this one's not bolded. I don't know if it's important to anybody to bold it, the motion on the end. Those words.
Oh, the motion at the end?
Yeah, we can bold the last motion. All those in favor as amended?
Aye.
And we
Okay.
will fix the titles.
Yeah, actually, it's just the one for non-public 1 is labeled 3, 3 is also labeled 3, so it's just that one that needs to be.
Good.
Okay, reports. Henry Wilson, we're not,
Henry,
Ms. Richardson's feeling a little under the weather.
Mrs. Richardson is feeling under the weather, Mrs. LaFave is under the weather.
Right.
I've had staff and students dropping like flies all last week, and it's continued over the weekend. So I'm,
But here and healthy,
yes.
with Mr. Roberts, I'm going to ask,
Healthy is a relative term.
I'm going to ask you to take the microphone at the podium, but I'm going to ask Ms. Vaughn to join you because we'd like to sort of introduce you in your new role, even though a lot of folks at home may know who you are, but you certainly have a new role with us, and we're very happy to announce that.
Adjust it, it's a little shorter than you want. So I'm very pleased to welcome Paul Roberts back to district. He spent several years with us as high school social studies teacher, and now he's back as the Valley View principal. So welcome.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Just a few things to report. Our open house was held on August 27th. The parents, we had approximately about 77% of the student body represented. We had 211 students came during the open house, or 211 parents came during the open house out of the 272 enrolled students, so about 77% of our student body. We had 12 community organizations that were represented. Farmington Police Department was there. They did started fingerprints and backgrounds for people that wanted to volunteer. The cafe served kind of a sampling of what the food would be during the course of the year. There were 6 groups: Goodwin Library, FAMI, Girl Scouts, Interfaith Food Pantry, PTA, and Geska School Photos that all donated gifts for a raffle that we held right before 7 o'clock. The other organizations that attend were Holy Rosary Credit Union, Community Action Partnership of Stratford County, First Congregational Church of Farmington, Cub Scouts, and Goodwin Community Health. So we had a real wide variety of things. One of the things that I've asked the teachers to do this year and challenged myself to do is to catch the students being good. And so we have these postcards. And so hopefully the teachers, writing a brief thing on the back and then stamp it. We have a stamp that we've gotten for the school and send it home. One of our teachers did it, and the mother actually sent back a note and said that when this came in the mail, my son was so proud of it, it's up on the refrigerator, and stuff like that. And so it was really good. It was nice to get that back. And I guess the other reason why I ask people to do this is that I know in my own mail, I generally get just bills or advertisements, and so I don't know about you, but I was kind of tired if that's all I get is bills and advertisements. So that's why I've kind of challenged everybody to do this, including myself. During the course of the day, I visit all my classrooms. I try to shoot for at least 2 to 3 times a day, at least walking through, talking with kids, meeting with kids, talking with parents, talking with the volunteers, paras, and the teachers. Matter of fact, in Mrs. Pelkey's class, she generally has them learn little bits and pieces of other languages. So I've been greeted now in Spanish, English. I've taught them Korean and German as far as coming back at them. So I'm doing the same for recesses and lunches. Try to get out to different ones each day. I've been making sure that all the apparatus is in good shape, and if not, definitely getting work orders out so we can get it fixed up. And in the afternoon, in the morning, I'm generally out doing bus duty. It's nice greeting the kids when they come and also when they leave. And actually, we got some unsolicited praise the other day when, quote, "It feels so good to love the school that your kids go to. I drop my kids off and know that they are being taken care of. Everyone is so nice and always has a smile on their face. Good mornings from everyone every day, and have a good day to end the day." So that was one of the ones that came. So I really don't know what else you'd like. That's really what I have, and I realize on this Friday's deadline to get it to you.
Well, there'll be more meat as the year goes on, but it sounds like it was a great start. So.
It really was.
Yeah.
I'm very happy as far as the faculty and people have been very, very welcoming. They've endured all sorts of questions from me as I try to learn everything that I can. And it's just, it's been a very nice start to the year.
Any questions for Mr. Roberts?
Not right now. Next report.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be back.
Thank you. Congratulations on a great opening as well.
Nice.
Okay, we'll jump down to new business.
Yes, you can.
I think, are you going to bring that up, or
I can.
the new business?
So, under new business, one of the things that we're looking to share with the Budget Committee is our bid process. And we're going to just give a quick overview here of what that looks like and how those go out to the public, because there's been some questions on what that is. So our board policy requires that unless the bidding process is suspended by the board, anything that we are doing that would go out over $5,000 is required to go out to public bid. And so, do you want to jump in and we can share? So, these are bid samples, okay? This is, I think these are all similar.
Oh,
So,
May I have one of those back?
absolutely.
So we're passing out an example of one of the bids that went out for smart boards. The components of the bid package are a letter that says the request is for an electronic bid, that's important. A little bit about what the item is that we're looking for, the due date for submitting the bids and time, and it's a letter from the business administrator. It's followed by bid specifications, and we have some categories that we fill in that are specific to the bid that we're engaged in. We're looking for submittal requirements, a bid packet was being requested from the bidders. We talk about funding information. Bidders can contact the appropriate person within the district. If it's equipment related, in this example for a little meat, we can see that for the smart board, there were some very specific requirements that are listed here. Talks about shipping, installation, some other things. The next section is about other terms and conditions, the bid acceptance, the bid price, late proposals, payment terms, withdrawal of bid proposals, pricing, bid results, how we determine who the winner is, insurance, performance bond, guarantees and warranty for this equipment style of bid. And the last page of this package is a bid submittal form where there's a table at the top for those of you at home that shows the quantity, price that they're interested in. In this case, there's an installation component for the smart boards, the total bid that they're offering, and the price per single unit. And all of this helps us when we assemble all the bids to have a level playing field and make an assessment on an apples-to-apples type of basis. The very last bit of information we need, of course, is the name of the company that's bidding and their contact information, and a signature from one of their authorized representatives to authorize and validate their bid. Any questions about this?
We do have a listing as well of contractors that have asked to be put on our bidding list, so that if we have a bid that's going out, we do have several, for instance, computer vendors that have asked to be on our bid list. So while they're all posted on the web as open, they would also be sent to those who have specifically asked to be included on our bidding list. So we have vendors for fruits and vegetables, we have vendors for computers, we have vendors for paper. So, you know, whatever it is that we're putting out, we would send out if they've requested specifically. If not, then it's going to be up on the website as an open RFP for anybody to go see.
Do we only send out electronic bids, or do we also do sealed bids?
For the most part,
have we moved past that?
We've gone to electronic bids. If someone said, I'm more comfortable taking a sealed bid, I mean, that's a conversation we can have. We haven't had anyone who said, I can't do an electronic bid. We are looking to add another layer to the process so that those electronic bids come in password protected, so that it's more of a, they're all opened at the same time by the same person who has the password, so that it's not just open email that could go awry as well. So it would be a two-step process there, and that's something we are now instating.
I like to see small improvements go on as we identify them.
No, mine was actually answered. I just wanted to know how the electronic bids would qualify in the category of the sealed bid, but you answered
Right.
that for me.
And the nice thing about the electronic bid is it's time-stamped when it comes in, so it's very easy to go back and say, we know exactly when this hit the inbox, as opposed to, well, we think somebody might have dropped it off at about this time. So-
Just again, on the sealed bids point, there are situations where we have to have paper bids.
Yes.
And that would be in situations where we're planning to use federal funds.
Correct.
In order to fund the projects. Or
Correct.
the items, right? Okay.
Correct.
And you just have two different templates that you go with
Mm-hmm.
according to that requirement, right?
Yes, we do customize these.
Is this particular sample what you're bringing forward?
Yeah, I can supply this as a
Well,
sample.
the reason I ask
Or-
is that if we're going to, I think we should, I think it should be
Remove
updated.
it. Oh.
You know, we've
Makes sense,
got a former employee's name.
Correct.
We could put Mr. Gazer's name.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? Just for sample
Oh, to make it
purposes.
hypothetical, because this was an actual, right?
This was an
This was an
actual.
actual, and which is fine.
An
I guess you
actual
could give it as
sample.
an example, as an actual bid
Yeah.
that had
Well,
gone out.
Mr. Chairman, I just brought a sample to see if we were on the right trail with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can prepare a blank bid form, so it has no information in it, if that's what you would prefer to bring forward to the Budget Committee.
I like a real example.
A real example's fine. I just think if we're gonna put any kind of a sample, it just be updated at some point. I mean,
Well, but if it's going to be, we don't have in order to
more recent?
update it, we don't have any bids that have gone out since
Oh,
Mr. Gazer's been here.
that's true.
So,
okay, well then I guess we'll have to do with that one.
okay.
Is anything else on that? No? Okay, no questions? All right.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Short agenda.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
No, I guess we had was old
Okay.
business.
Old business?
Mr. Gazer has a listing of the audit pieces that we have so far. We just kind of want to give you, here's our timeline and what we're looking at. Right. So, did
Do
you
you
want?
have it in your files?
I do. Okay. I was thinking that you
Would you like me to speak to it?
Sure. And I buried it, sorry. Is that this
A lot
one?
in there.
Okay, yes.
Okay, we're sending around a table again. It's a historical table going from left to right. Fiscal year is the important column. This is a history of Farmington School District audits going back to fiscal year 10.
Great.
I have on the left column the audit types. The top left corner, we have the basic financial statement type. Let me just go down and explain the different types. This is everything that is non-government related. So this would be the basic general fund that we're familiar with, expenditures, anything that have to do with transactions for the general fund. The single audits is the second audit type on the left in the middle of the page, and that's where we have the government reporting for grants. The next category I have is the audit firm information, which firm was doing the audits during this fiscal year, and the date of the engagement letter. And the final category is the payments. So beginning back at the top with basic financial statements, let me go in reverse order unless someone objects. I'd like to go with the latest area where we are working is fiscal year 17 with Melanson Heath. This final information is expected as soon as Melanson Heath has time to incorporate the materials that we've been providing for them for quite a long time now. When that information results in their final report, auditor's report on the financial statements, we will be able to shift to the new auditor, who is Plodzik and Sanderson, to begin the fiscal year 18 audit. Fiscal year 18, as you know, just ended June 30, 2018. So we're catching up on the sequence. But as you go backwards in time, take a look at the date of the auditor's report. I don't have many of those dates filled in, but doing the archaeology and going through the files and trying to find when these things occurred, you can see a sequence going backwards where the fiscal year 17 is September 10 or less with our representation letter. That representation letter means we have responded to the auditor's findings. It does not mean that they've finalized their audit, but it means it's one of the last steps.
Okay.
So that is fairly complete because the school district authors those representation letters. So we have records of those. They're easy to trace. So if we go backwards to fiscal year 16, we have the March 29, 2018 representation letter. On the same date, we responded for fiscal year 15 results. Going back to fiscal year 14, we responded in November of 2017 to the auditor's results. In fiscal year 13, we responded on
Are you wondering
July.
where those dates are?
Yeah, we don't
Okay.
apologize.
The representation letter, it's the third
right.
line down.
This one.
Oh, that one, I was looking
Yeah.
down
Thank you.
here.
Fiscal year 14.
Yeah, my
is dated November
apologies, too.
17.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you now, I apologize, thank you.
And at that time, the response was just a signature from the superintendent, correct?
Actually, the only representation letter that I have signed
No,
was the 17th.
but I mean,
This would be at the time.
these older ones, does the chair always have to sign as well, or is that
No,
something new?
it's typically either the
Okay.
business manager or the superintendent.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So Joel brings up an area that I found interesting as I went back in fiscal year 12, 11, and 10. We don't have much information from the auditors, but we do have a New Hampshire letter to the superintendent. So you see in the fourth row, under the column headings, New Hampshire letter to superintendent, you can see who the superintendent was at the time, and this letter pointed out significant findings.
And these are actually from the DOE, I believe.
This is from the
Yeah.
DOE, yes. So for example, back in 2011, August 4th, the letter said to Superintendent Malachi, the food service program is negative to the tune of minus $13,509. And the next year, the food service program is also negative, minus $25,787. And in 14, the food service program is still negative and worse at minus $69,514.
Is that cumulative, or is that the snapshot for each year?
That's snapshot for
Annual,
here.
yes. So as you see, I'm starting to flesh out some interesting information and patterns that might be useful for us for further discussions, especially for next year when we look forward to resolving some of these problems. But it's hard to find all that information. It does take a long time to go through the files. Let me just drop the other shoe about the continuing audits and catching up. It's not only the basic financial statement audits at the top that are of interest to us, but we also have to complete those single audits in the middle of the page. And we are catching up with those. Both types of audits, the basic financial audit and the single audit, need to be completed before we can move forward and catch up on the fiscal year that just ended, fiscal year 18. So we're making good progress. As you'll see, fiscal year 13 is done, 14, 15 are done, 16 we have a draft dated September 19th this week. I hope we'll have that draft.
Well, actually,
on
yes,
due date.
that's an anticipated draft. That's not a, we have the draft yet.
And that's also with Melanson Heath?
Yes.
That's by
Yep.
agreement that they would like to have it done by that date.
Great.
And then we have high hopes that we'll be able to work with them and finish fiscal year 17 very, very quickly.
We'd actually hoped to have both done by the 19th, but I don't know that that's going to be possible.
We don't have that in ink.
We don't have that in ink, no.
For a later discussion of some other date, I'm trying to track the payments that were actually made to Melanson Heath. And I want to point out that we did make payments to Melanson Heath in fiscal year 18, the $49,700 figure. That doesn't mean that they did work on fiscal year 18's data.
Right.
It means that they were lagged a year. They're looking at that year before, which was
Actually,
fiscal year
they're looking
17, and prior years.
Right.
And so some of those monies will be expensed against the year's audit that they were looking at. So that's not, that hit doesn't all happen on 18 either.
Is that in addition to the other funds that are already listed there for those years?
Those are the years in which we received the invoice, not necessarily the year against which it's expensed.
Oh, okay.
So if you'll bear with me, I hope I set the stage for you, and you can tell there are a lot of missing areas in my table. But I can do a little analysis with you quickly. If you look almost diagonally at the
They
dates,
didn't do all this for these years.
I want to start fiscal year 10. You see where it says auditor's report on the financial statements? 2011 is
Yep.
when they completed their report. You see that?
Yep.
A year after the fiscal
Which is
year.
considered, in that case, it's considered on time, right?
Roughly on time. Technically, it's a little bit overdue.
But not bad.
But there's
Okay.
the trend. The trend is it lengthens from that date forward.
Yes.
So fiscal year 11, 2 years after.
Yes,
I'm doing very roughly speaking here.
yep,
And then fiscal year 12, 2 years after.
okay.
And 13, 3 years after. So I don't know what was happening during that time. It's well before my time. Apparently, there was some either cessation in payments to the auditor. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't gone back far enough to see when the payments occurred. But we didn't have representation letters, which is very important. We didn't have what's the statement where they bid, where they offer to do the work?
That's the
Engagement letter?
engagement letter.
We didn't have engagement letters that we found yet.
It means that they're not in that folder. It doesn't mean that an engagement letter didn't happen. We just
just
don't
haven't found it
happen
yet.
to
You're still
have that
looking.
copy
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know why we got out of the proper sequence of doing an audit every year.
But we're doing our best to get back in sequence.
Yes.
Yes, we are catching up.
By doing 4 years in one. No small feat.
Mrs. Cardinal?
So I see the second row down, adjusting GEs complete. I'm assuming that stands for journal entries.
Those are
Correct.
adjusting journal entries, yes.
And it looks like on August 18th, you've done 5 years' worth of journal entries.
That's the month of August in 2018, sorry for my shorthand.
Oh,
That's during the month of
Okay,
August.
so in August of 2018, over that month,
We
the
had
first
a
month
lot-
here.
We had, yes, during his
You and
first
your
month,
staff have done
he did a
5.
lot of journal entries, yes.
Okay, 5 years' worth of journal entries. So that's the action that then gets our undesignated fund balance set and ready to then decide how much we will be asking for future year to kind of right the ship
Yes,
when it comes
Exactly.
to setting the tax rate and whatnot.
correct.
This
Because
coming
as you know,
fall.
Angie, we couldn't take a snapshot of the year that just ended, fiscal year 18,
Right.
and said, oh, here's the balance left over, because there's a cumulative effect of all those unaudited prior years. So we had to make sure we followed the sequence and rolled everything that had to be rolled into the final result. So we will not have that final result until Plotzik and Sanderson completes their work,
Okay.
okay? And they haven't
Okay.
engaged yet. But we are doing everything we can to get that done as soon as we can.
Of course, of course. We invited Melanson and Heath to come and present to us in terms of these last
Yes.
bits and tying all the loose ends.
And they declined to do so.
Okay. Have we received any new invoices from them? Since we
don't-
invited them and they
I
declined?
don't believe so.
We had a recent spate, didn't we?
It was prior to the
The 10,100.
declining. That
Yes.
was earlier in August.
Okay.
So a lot of these blanks, for example, in the payments for fiscal year 10, 11, 12, and 13, just because they're blank doesn't mean that there wasn't a payment made, it's just that we're still
We
digging and...
We're still digging.
Still looking.
Yes.
Okay.
It could be in our financial system, I just haven't found it.
Well, and ADS goes back to roughly 2010, 11. So, and for a while there, we were running dual platforms. So some of that we can get back. I'm pretty confident we can find through 11. much back from that. I don't know that it will be in our current platform, although there should be boxes of something somewhere. We're still digging.
Thank you, Mark, for your hard work on that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your diligence.
I just have one other question though, too. There was some question as to when the last financial forensic audit was done. Did we ever figure out a date on that?
I've found the engagement letter that happened in roughly late September 2008. And then that work would have been done into the late winter, early spring of 2009.
Okay.
But I haven't found all of the reports from that, but I know that the work was started then, and I was on the periphery. I know it was happening, so.
Okay.
Sorry, more questions. There's specific state law as to how long we need to retain student records. Are there specific laws regarding how long we need to retain these sort of records, audit records, financial documents? What does the law
Yes.
say on those?
It's at least 7 years, and we usually keep back further just to make sure. So I will go back and double check. I know that when we moved, we didn't pitch everything we could have because we wanted to make sure that we had those pieces, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other old business? This is probably more, well, it's kind of old business because it's been mentioned more than once, but we're receiving word again tonight that the sound is an issue. It's not out, but it's apparently muffled, scratchy, whatever. What's going on with the sound? Is it?
When I
I couldn't
emailed Brian
hear.
last.
We can't understand you.
It's on the cable provider's
It's
end.
the cable provider.
So,
Okay.
It's on MetroCast.
So
end,
can we contact MetroCast and
Yes.
say?
He has.
Okay,
yeah, he
thank you.
has-
It's just like every week now, we're getting notified from viewers that they
Yeah.
can't really hear us, and,
That becomes an issue.
yeah. Okay,
We'll need microphones that amplify us.
yeah.
The sound is great in person.
Not really.
Okay. Oh, the air conditioning.
That could be
Sorry.
part of the problem, the white noise from the air conditioning.
Any other public participation? Okay, other, like we had some. Our next meeting is October 1st, right here at 6:30. Before we break away tonight, I would like to mention that you may have seen recently on WMUR Channel 9 that an elderly gentleman is lost in the Tamworth Ossipee area. And that actually is a former employee of the Farmington School District, Mr. Dewey Poulin, who Penny and I were fortunate enough to have in middle school for science class. And Mrs. Moran actually helped with some of the search efforts last week. And unfortunately, he still hasn't been found. So I hope that there's a positive outcome for his family. And, you know, we are thinking of you. He was part of the Farmington District family for many years. Gave me my first detention in 7th grade. And I learned that lesson. So we do hope and send prayers out to his family and hope for a positive outcome for Mr. Poulin. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you to those of you who viewed from home. We're going to get the sound fixed for you. And thank you for coming out tonight, Mrs. Vashon. I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public session 1, RSA 91A:32, A, B, and C for nominations and resignations.
So
So moved by Mr. Frieda, second by Ms. McElhenney. All those in favor by roll? Aye. Good night, folks.
Thank you.